Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to get going with this presentation. But before we do that, we'll allow everyone to trickle in. And I want to go over just a few housekeeping items before I pass it over to Mike. So my name's Kayla. I'm here representing the Acelab team. And we have Mike and Armani from Safety First. So really quickly, I want to show you a quick glance at their page in Acelab. So if you're familiar with Acelab, you'll know that you can do any kind of research or look for a specific manufacturer. My page should be coming up here in just a moment. There we go. You can search any kind of specific manufacturer by using the search bar at the top of the page. Here we are looking at their page. We have some pretty basic information for you here. We've got contact information. We also have many of their products for you to explore as well. So if you're interested in learning more about any of these products, you can click into these pages to get more information. You can also save them to your firm library for future reference. So definitely check out their page when you get a chance. I will drop a link to this page in the chat in just a moment. So a couple other things to make note of. We will be doing Q&A. So if at any point during the presentation you have any questions for Mike and Armani, you can drop that in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And again, we'll get to those towards the end of the presentation. Also, we will be doing a optional webinar poll. So you'll see that pop up towards the end of the presentation as well. If you're interested in getting follow-up information from a Safety First team after the webinar, fill that out. If you're not interested in getting any kind of follow-up, no need to fill that out. You can just click the X in the box that pops up. But we definitely look forward to connecting you with our team. If you fill it out, you'll get an email within a few days after the webinar connecting you with them. So you're welcome to respond directly to that email to get in touch with them and ask any specific questions you may have. And last but not least, this is an AIA-approved presentation. So we collected your AIA numbers upon registration. So you most likely are already good to go with that. If you're worried you didn't give us your number, I'll put it in the chat as well. You can fill out the form there to make sure that you get credit for today. But that is everything on my end. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Mike to get us started.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. I'm hoping my screen's up and ready to roll.
Yep.
I want to thank Kayla and the team at Acelab. They always do a phenomenal job and are very, we love working with them. I want to thank everybody for joining us today in the presentation to learn about advanced fire-rated glazing technologies. My name is Mike Augustine. I am the Director of Architectural Promotion for Safety First. We are North America's only vertically integrated company that is doing fire-rated solutions. Our corporate offices are in Brisbane, California, and we manufacture in the Central Valley in California in Merced. We are still family owned by William O'Keefe. We also like to, tout our other brands under the umbrella, which is O'Keefe's Ladders and Titan Metal Products. So if there's anything that you need to know, please let us know. With that, we'll get started with the presentation. I should probably be able to get through this pretty quick, and then we have plenty of time, like Kayla said, if you have any questions for us. Well, hopefully it's working.
Looks like it's still on the title screen.
Yeah, it's not, and it was just working, Kayla. So what's, I wonder if I should stop sharing and then try again.
Yeah, that works.
Are we looking good there?
All right, yeah, it's coming up. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, so we should be good to go now. So I apologize for that. So innovative design, applications, and advanced fire-rated glazing technology. Now it's not working again.
I don't know why it would not be working. Are you using the mouse to click or
No, just my,
the
there we
arrow?
go. Okay, I'm sorry again. So, like Kayla said, I apologize. This is accredited by AIA, so you will get you'll get your 1 credit point. We just put this in there for any copyrighted materials that we were allowed to use, just to keep it legal. Learning objectives. We'll review the history of fire-rated glass from foreign-made wire glass and ceramics to clear high-performance U.S.-made solutions. The second one is the really big one, I believe, is understanding the difference between fire protective and fire resistive when you're starting your design. We're examining how the architectural community demand for large increased optical clarity, unobstructed views, high performance, uh, use for when we do exterior solutions, a multifunction, everything that we got and everything we've done to enhance our product line is because of the feedback we got from the architectural community. And we'll discover some of the importance of the multifunctional fire resistive glazing products, hurricane blast, forced entry, and we'll have some of the case studies at the end that highlight some of the new enhances in fire rated glazing solutions. So learning objective 1, history of fire-rated glass. So the old solution was just a brick wall, concrete wall, opaque, no views. And then when with the added with the wire glass and the ceramic glass, you got into the fire protective solution. So, door lights, small openings, but you were always limited to how much you could use when you were dealing with the old technology. Wired and ceramic glass used in doors, skylights, hazardous locations. So anytime you see when you're dealing with CPSC category 1, category 2, this is also the ANSI Z971 standard. Anytime you're using sidelights with ceramic or the wire glass, they have to be filmed or laminated to meet those standards. So it can become a very expensive solution. Category 1, CPSC, Category 1 has to take the impact of a small child at 150 pounds of force when you're dealing with an area of glass less than 1,296 square inches. The glass has to stay intact. So tempered glass will stay intact. If you're using the filmed, if you're using the laminated, the ceramic or this wire glass, it has to be filmed or laminated. Category 2 for CPSC has to take the impact of an adult at 400 pounds of force. And that's when you're dealing with a glass area of more than 1,296 square inches. So with the new technology, came from the architectural community, they wanted clear solutions. So when you're dealing with fire protective openings, you have a clear specialty fire protective product now. You don't have to use the laminated ceramic or the film ceramic. When you're dealing with the ceramics, you're always going to have that yellowish hue to it. And nobody makes it in the United States, so you have to import it. Now you have the clear specialty fire protective products that are made right here in the United States. And then when you're dealing with fire resistive walls, again, large sizes, maximum clear transparent walls. That came also from the architecture community. Large doors, 10-foot doors, everything that all the enhancements have come to try to match what the architects are using on the non-rated portion of the building. Hope I didn't skip this. And also, when you're dealing with fire-rated solutions, whether they're fire protective or fire resistive, you can also go multifunction now. So, fire-rated solutions with ballistic blast, hurricane, forced entry, your thermal values for exterior solutions, acoustic, and also decorative solutions. Where can fire-rated glass be found? Fire-rated doors and skylights. Doors are still the fastest growing segment in our industry. Fire protective openings, and now fire resistive barriers, interior and exterior, and then also fire resistive floors. So this is the most important learning objective, in my opinion: fire protective versus fire resistive. And what are the differences? So IBC has two ratings: fire protective, fire resistive. So fire protective, openings, windows, and doors. It's only going to block what you see, just the visual characteristics of the fire. So it's only going to block the smoke and the flames. When you need a fire resistive wall, categorized as a wall, ASTME 119 or UL 273, that's a fire resistive wall. That's blocking the smoke, the flames, and the radiant heat. And the radiant heat is the silent killer in a fire. So we kind of went over this: fire protective, NFPA 252, 257, UL9, UL10B, UL10C for your doors. Typically under 45 minutes, it's only going to contain the smoke and the flames. Fire resistive walls, ASTME 119, UL263, that is a wall. So even though it looks clear and transparent, that is going to block the smoke, the flames, and the radiant heat. When you're dealing with fire protective solutions, you're only limited to open up that area, 25% of that area. Fire resistive walls, you have no limit of how much you can use in your solution. So this is a fire endurance test. So everything has to be third party tested and bugged. So when the fire marshal comes out and looks, he can see exactly what's in there. So it's going to go into a chamber, heat up to 1900 degrees Fahrenheit, and it will stay in that chamber for the duration of the test, from 20 minutes to 3 hours. And you can see the person administering the test has a fire retardant suit on. So that is a fire protective solution, because that radiant heat is still going through that glass. Once it comes out of the endurance test, it has to go to the host stream test. The host stream test is still very relevant here in North America. So they turn that specimen around, they shoot a fire hose 20 feet away at 30 psi. If it's ASTME 119 UL 263, so a fire resistive wall, there can be no loss of glass in that frame for the duration of the test. If this is an NFPA 257 fire protective opening, you can have 30% of separation around the perimeter and 5% of loss at the center, but most of the glazing application has to stay intact during the test, time of the test. And this is a test for structural integrity. So what is radiant heat? Radiant heat is energy that is moving through that glass. And that energy will heat up and absorb anything it touches, and then that will become combustible. And there's a video here that will show you it is going to play. So this shows you, this is what happens when the radiant heat is just absorbs onto that mannequin. So you have 3 mannequins: ceramic glass, wired glass, heat reflective, specially tempered. So you can see that mannequin already heating up, smoking. That is not the smoke from the fire. That is the smoke from the radiant heat being absorbed onto the mannequin. And then over time, you can see what happens is that gets so intense, that heat that gets absorbed onto that mannequin gets so hot, and it becomes combustible, and it will start a fire. So this is just a chart of what we just saw. That radiant heat will move through, and it's going to absorb on whatever it touches, and they call that intolerable human pain. And that's going to start at about that 3-minute mark, maybe last to 7 minutes. And then at that 10 to 15-minute mark, you're going to have that spontaneous combustion, and whatever that heat, that energy is being absorbed on, will catch fire. So fire resistive glazing is defined as a fire resistive wall, accordance with ASTME 119 UL 263. It's radiant heat, it's stopping that energy, and it also passes the host stream test. So remember, anytime you need a fire resistive wall, it needs to meet that ASTME 119 standard. So a couple of different types of products on the market when you're dealing with fire resistive walls. The slide to the left is 2 lights of tempered glass that is filled with a semi-solid fire resistive material. It's all clear in nature. And then you have your multi-laminate glass too. Multiple lights of annealed glass with intermittent fire layers in between each light of glass. And these products are tested up to 2 hours. And this is just a test example of what happens when the fire resistive wall is exposed to heat. So it's bidirectional. So the glass will expand to the heat source and eventually break. And that semi-rigid material will then cake onto the surviving light of glass. And it looks like plaster. So you can see it there. And you can see that gentleman on the other side of the fire where that energy is not able to pass through that glass because of the technology. And so either you're in a safe area to whether you can get safe, get out, or firefighters are coming in and out of the building. And this is just an illustration of what we just saw where the glass breaks and that semi-rigid intumescent material will cake onto the surviving light and it will block that energy. When you're dealing with fire resistive products, the glass and the framing have to be the same rating. It's a system at that point. So you're not just putting glass like in hollow metal where you can with fire protective solutions. When you're dealing with a fire resistive solution, the glass and the framing have to have the same rating. So demand for large sizes, clarity, unobstructed views, and thermal performance. This all came from the design community. So large sizes, maximum of 10,000 square inches, maximum heights and widths up to 133 inches, temporized doors, like we said, up to 10 feet. Also with the doors, custom hardware is becoming a big thing. So that is also options to do on the fire rated doors. So we'll get into the first case study. This is the warehouse on 520 West 20th Street in New York City. So again, they wanted large views. So these panels are 11 by 5. And when it was first designed, they had a horizontal to break up the glass. And we came in and said we could do that in one light of glass. We used a energy efficient makeup, low iron glass, optical clarity, and gave them the full view without any obstructions. The next case study, this is the Starbucks Roastery in Chicago. This is the Crate and Barrel flagship store. So they had a four-story mural on the in the stairwell. So they wanted to open that up and get again optical clarity. So these are 10-foot lights of glass, but glazed, no metal mass, and they were able to really showcase the artwork. And also 10-foot doors in this solution as well. So optical clarity, low iron maximum views, again, that's becoming bigger and bigger, not only in the interior, but the exterior solutions. So this is Claremont Hall in Harvard. This is also a 2-hour solution. So this is the business school, and we did a lecture hall. And they wanted optimal clarity between the lecture hall and the lobby. They do a lot of entertaining in the lobby after the lectures. So this is actually segmented in plane. And again, low iron, optical clarity, large lights of glass, custom hardware. And these were 9-foot doors used on this application. But they really wanted to make it seamless transition between the lecture hall and the lobby. So buck glazed applications. So there's a couple case studies here now where we're getting into the buck glazed application, no metal mass. So the first one, University of Wisconsin Learning Center. This is in Madison. So they wanted to open up some of their stairwells, and they wanted to do it. It needed to be a 1-hour fire resistive solution. So they needed to block that radiant heat. And we were able to come up with a solution, 9-foot panels with a vertical buck glazed solution. And again, that is a 9-foot door, full light glazing in that door as well, obviously, as you can see. The next solution, this is the waste management corporate headquarters. So they wanted to use 9 by 8 panels, ultra low iron for maximum clarity. And again, this is also a buck glaze solution to get rid of that metal mass. So you can see as much glass as possible. So we'll talk about the Porsche Tower. This was a very unique application, as it says on the slide. So this is the Porsche Tower down in Miami Beach, and they needed a fire rated solution for their elevators and their sky garages, they call them. So when you buy a unit, I believe there's 133 units. You come into an elevator shaft that's segment and plan, and so the whole elevator shaft had to be a fire resistive solution because it takes your car up to your unit, and then your car gets parked right out of your unit where they have a sky garage, and that whole area had to be a fire resistive solution, and they wanted to open it up so the owners could see their cars. So all that glazing, not only around the elevator shaft, but in the sky garages, all had to be a fire resistive solution. So we were able to help them come out with their design. So thermal performance. Anytime you're dealing with exterior solutions, one of the first questions we get is what is thermal rating? So we work with NFRC, that's CMAS thermal performance tool. As long as we know all the components, we can simulate your U values, your solar heat gain, your R values for your systems. So the first one is the Aspen Art Museum. This is a 2-hour fire resistive solution. So it's an exterior solution, so it's open to the elements. So they were very concerned about not only the thermal cycling, U values, and condensation resistive factors as well. So we had to calculate all of those with and still maintain the 2-hour fire resistive solution on that project. So this is the Cortland in New York City. Again, this is an exterior solution. So U values were very important, calculating all the U values. And this is they wanted maximum views and maximum square footage. So we were able to help them, with the cantilever effect, maximize their space inside, give them the maximum clarity views, and be seamless with the non-rated portion of the project as well. So property lines on, we just talked about those two. This is 1 Sullivan. So again, maximum views, maximum square footage, and then be able to calculate all your thermal values on the project as well. So we'll start talking about some of the multifunctional uses when dealing with the fire-rated glazing products. So fire-rated and hurricane. So we have a hurricane system that meets Florida product approval and meets Texas Department of Insurance approvals, and these are for high velocity hurricane areas. So this is the VA in Orlando. This is a 2-hour fire resistive solution that needed to meet hurricane as well. So it's tested to the Florida building code for large and small missiles. And this project was also shipped factory glaze for ease of installation for the contractor. So fire rated and blast meets the anti terrorism standards for the buildings. So this is the Army Hospital out in the West Coast. So this is a 2-hour fire resistive wall that needed to meet the DoD standards. So we worked to make sure the solution was also met the blast criteria with the glass and also the framing solution as well. So fire rated ballistic and forced entry as well. So meets up to a level 8 in ballistic and ASTM 1915 grades 1 through 4. So this is the Plaquemines Parish Detention Center down in Louisiana. So this is a 45-minute protective solution. Also level 3 ballistic and grade 2 forced entry. And the framing also had to be tampered proofed as well. So, nothing could be damaged by the inmates. And the guards wanted maximum clarity view so they can see the prisoners and also maintain their safety in their guard areas. So we're talking about some fire rated floor solutions now too. So this is probably one of the newest enhancements to doing fire resistive floors. So the first one is Union Square right there in San Francisco. So this was right, if you've ever been in San Francisco, this was right in the heart of the shopping district. So this was a high profile project we were really happy to get into. So it's a 2-hour fire resistive floor, walkable floor surface. And they took a local artist was commissioned to design that artwork that is into the floor. So they really wanted to open up these subway stations just to make them a little bit more safe and people feel, I guess, more, the safe as they're coming in and out of the subway station. So not only was it the floor system, but it's light wells as to get as much daylight down into the system as possible. And then you can see the elevator shafts were also a fire resistive solution. So this really showcased our capabilities of not only the vertical, but the horizontal solutions as well when you're dealing with the fire resistive solutions. And this is the 21C Hotel in Nashville. So this was the first floor we worked on. So if you've ever been to a 21C hotel, most hotels have a theme. And this was also an art gallery. So they wanted to display the art and they wanted to get as much natural light throughout the building. So we were able to come up with a walkable floor surface, 1 hour, a fire resistive walkable floor surface to get as much natural light down all the way through the building. Again, optimal clarity on the floor or walkable surface. And that is a butt glaze solution on that floor. And that is the end of the presentation. So I want to thank you again for listening. I want to thank Kayla and her team. And if there's any questions, please let us know.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm looking here to launch the poll. Give me just a second. All right, here we go. All right, so yeah, just launched that poll. So again, as I mentioned earlier, feel free to fill that out if you'd like some follow-up information today. But let's go ahead and jump into some Q&A. So now's the time. If you do have any questions, feel free to share those now in the Q&A box, but I'll go ahead and get us started. First we have, do you provide any kind of BIM components or CAD details to help with project integration?
Yes, we do. So that is all available on our website. So not only are we the only company vertically integrated, we're also doing, all of our own project managing, all of our own engineering, all of our own estimating, and on my team, architectural promotion. So we want to get out in front and help promote, our systems with the architects when they have a solution. So, that means detailing, whether it's, CAD or BIM, budget pricing, making sure everything's correct with the door hardware and the heights. But yeah, we do provide that service, and all of our details are on our website.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next up, we have is wired glass prohibited by code in some occupancies?
I believe that it is, but when you use it, like I said, we don't use it anymore. And by the time I got into safety, they were already done with it. But it's very fragile, so it has to be filmed or laminated. But you definitely still see it, mainly in door lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. All right. What kind of maintenance requirements exist for your fire graded glass systems?
So yeah, once our systems are installed, there is no maintenance. They're going to be installed by a glazing contractor, sealed up, and the only maintenance you should really have to do on it is if you want to clean the glass, the framing, that would be it. But once they're in, and they need no maintenance.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, we have somebody asking for a copy of the presentation. Are you able to share the slides with folks who are interested?
Yes, that would be no problem.
So cool. And by the way, Edward, we will also be having we'll send you a copy of the webinar recording, and we will also you can find that on our website as well. And just probably by tomorrow you should see that recording come up, so you can refer to that as well. Um, Next, we have, do you provide operable lights with magnetic hold opens for reception counters?
No, no, like windows, everything is fixed. We can put our doors. We have, like storefront swing doors up to 90 minutes, and those can be put on magnetic hold opens.
Okay, good to know. All right, let's see. All right, I think that is everything for now. Well, let's see. Just got another one. Okay. What is the operational longevity of the intumescent inner layers in the glazing?
Yeah, like I said, once it's in that, you should have no issues with it or no maintenance. I don't know. I've never asked the life longevity. I could find that out for you. So if you send us a note, we can definitely find that out for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll share the email address of each person who asked the questions so that we can follow up.
Okay, perfect.
Um, awesome. All right. If the frame and the windows need some rating, do the doors perform? Okay. Do do the doors do as well since they only hold up to 90 minutes?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when you're dealing with fire resistive walls, whether it's 60 or 120 minutes, the door is not tested to the ASTME 119 standard because it's an active passageway. So it's an opening. It's not a wall. So you put a 60-minute door into a 1 hour fire resistive wall, but you put a 90-minute door by code into a 2 hour fire resistive wall. And the reason it's just not the same code is because it's different tested. It's tested to NFPA 80, NFPA 252 because it is an active passageway which you're allowed to put into your walls.
That makes sense. Thank you. All right. And I do think that is the last question we have for right now. So thank you so much, Mike. That was a really great presentation. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Um, Mike, do you have any final comments or notes you'd like to make before we end things today?
No, just want to thank you for listening. And again, whether you have one light of glass or 80 doors, we just want to be your first point of contact. Again, just to help you to make sure, once you understand what your code is, to make sure you got the correct code products, make sure you got the right details, the right specification sections, and then, budgeting is very important. So we're doing that all the time. And again, that is a free service. So call us and let us help you out.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Mike. And again, I just want to emphasize to keep an eye on your inbox. If you did fill out the poll, we will be sending you an email connecting you with Mike and his team. All you have to do to connect with them is simply reply to the email that comes through. It does come from a no reply at Acelab, but you can reply to it to respond directly to them. You can also log into your Acelab account and you'll see all your open conversations there to connect and talk further. We definitely recommend doing that. So thank you again, everyone. We hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.